Why is Lakewood Ranch, Florida still turning heads as we sit here in 2025? This master plan, I would think it's fair to say, is a powerhouse at this point, has held the ranking of #1 all-age community in the entire United States 7 years running now. It's only #2 if you take just non-age restricted all rankings to the villages just north of Tampa Bay. The kicker to me is that it's not resting on its laurels. 30 years in, what's coming, what's trending, and probably most crucially, is this your next home base? In my 2025 Lakewood Ranch A to Z edition, I want to share the absolute breaking latest information that I have regarding residential real estate, lifestyle, schools, and beyond. And my goal would be at the end of this video, you have a pretty great idea if this is your next spot or if it's just another random overrated dot on a Florida map. So I hope you enjoy my take. If you do, I've also created a special guide supplement just for this video. It's a Lakewood Ranch 2025 relocation guide. I'm going to put the link right here. It's completely free, of course. Right here, I'll give you a second if you want to take a picture, type it down real quick, and then I'll share a little bit more information about it in a few minutes after we get going. If we've not met, by the way, my name is Adam Hancock. You've arrived at the Florida Relocation Guide, your smartest way to buy, sell, and or invest across the entire Southwest Florida region, especially. Without further ado, let's hop in. So first I want to get into exactly where is Lakewood Ranch, Florida, and why that matters. And then we'll move on and we'll talk sexy stuff, new development, growth, and the change management of everything. So geography-wise, Lakewood Ranch basically sits on a sprawling 33,000 plus acre plat of land. And it's situated in a really interesting location. You're northeast Sarasota adjacent, hour below Tampa Bay, hour and a half above Fort Myers, 2 hours above Naples. In basically 30 to 45 minutes, you can be on world-class beaches. Siesta Key, Anna Maria Island, kind of the quartz, white, sugary sand, Lido, Longboat Key, Venice, and more. Air travel-wise, if it's a need or a want, one really nice option over the last few years is Sarasota Bradenton International, 20 minutes away, ever-growing list of flights. But if you need even more abundant hubs than that, 60 miles one way to Tampa International, and to boot, you have Southwest and North Fort Myers as well. Accessibility in general, I'm going to kind of rattle these off. You are just east of I-75, which is the main interstate system. 4 interchanges, less than 2 hours to Orlando, Disney, theme parks, all that kind of stuff. 3.5 really, to Miami, Boca Raton, West Palm Beach. 4.5 to St. Augustine, which is the oldest continuously inhabited. It's really history beaches, beautiful. Amelia Island above that, you have Savannah, Georgia, you could keep going. So basically, like, you have the best of the culture of the Sarasota area, what it's known for and what it's sought after for. And then right above you in relative access, depending on who you are, you have job market of the big city stuff, Tampa Bay, growing commercial market, and big cities just get things first a lot of the times. I think it's a Goldilocks of sorts here in 2025. It's not too urban, it's not too remote, it's just balanced. Live, work, and play. Next up, what is new going into early 2025? Lakewood Ranch isn't just growing, it's booming, really. So let's check out what is hitting the ground over the next few months. Okay, let's first talk neighborhoods or villages as Lakewood Ranch refers to it. Now, I do think it's important to understand the entire world we're talking about. Then in context, it makes sense to say what's fresh off the press, what's already sold out, etc. 41 to 46, I believe you can safely make an argument for that amount of neighborhoods that Lakewood Ranch, Florida accounts for. So this is not a tiny little suburb. It is a master plan city of sorts. Now, what's really interesting on top of that, that includes everything, right? Every home that was built from 1995 that's sold out now to the stuff that's actively selling and even the coming soon stuff I have information for. More than half of all of those are actively selling. You can walk in right now, buy a house, build a house beyond. 21 to 26 of those 41 to 46 are actively selling at the moment. And then we have some coming soon stuff as well. What I want to do over the next couple of minutes is hit the newest part of the best selling. So have released, but very, very short time ago, basically. And then we'll talk about exciting stuff that hasn't even, maybe even just a press release at the moment. All right. So number one of those is a community called, in no particular order, is Bungalow Walk. This one they put, you could, in the Northeast Waterside District, really. It's across from the Isles, behind kind of the Starbucks, across the street from the Libby's. It's in that general area before you get to Monarch Acres. It's kind of a random community at the moment, but the more you understand about Lakewood Ranch, you could find value in this depending on who you are. It is most similar to me as the Central Living Collection of David Weekley. That's the aesthetic it is. It's more of a no frills. They're narrow, long, and lean, interesting kind of homes, whether it's an investment or it's a starter home, or it's a more conservative kind of empty nester home, something of that sorts. But it has the kind of aesthetic that Emerald Landing has, that David Weekley's downtown Sarasota and downtown Tampa Bay products did as well. It's very coastal, but it's fit for the urban environment. Number two is a community just northeast of State Road 70 called Colusa Country Club. This is the next generation of what Lakewood National was. It is a Lennar-based community, so it's basically affordable, deeded golf and resort-style amenities, and they always do a beautiful job. They did this with Sarasota National. They did this with Welland Park Golf and Country Club, and then, of course, Lakewood Ranch National just sold out. This is right next to it. Third one is a really exciting one if you're familiar with the Del Webb brand, which up until very, very recently, in another video I've coming out I'm going to talk about, was 55 and up only. It was an age-restricted brand of Pulte. They just released one under the Del Webb moniker that is for millennials, believe it or not, which is up in Paris. So I'm going to talk about that. It's interesting. Never seen anything like it. But this is the one in Lakewood Ranch is the newest version of what Del Webb is. So it's everything that people have loved is sexier and newer and bigger, basically. So Del Webb Lakewood Ranch, Del Webb Bayview up in Parrish. This is right in between those two. 15 acres of resort style amenities. There's a 70-acre lake that it sits on. There's 12 pickleball courts. 8 of them are covered. Clubhouse, wellness center. You have the food service in there as well. Every floor plan they've ever made is in there. So you got all that kind of stuff. Palm Grove is another one. I talked about that on a video individually, which I'll try to throw up here a couple months ago maybe. This is Neal Communities. It's all the way up on the State Road 64 line. So this is kind of, you're going to see a lot of the expansion going up this way and up and over this way to east, northeast. And this is basically what a lot of people have loved about Neal's brand with Windward and Grand Palm, Grand Park, Indigo, but it kind of has all of it. So you have the townhome product, the villa product, which has a really interesting equity advantage, which I spoke about in a separate video a while back, like I said, and a lot of floor plans that families could access that aren't all $1 million. And that's very, very important. So they have everything but their coastal collection. So you can have tall, narrow homes, a little more affordable, get square footage on the second story. You can go a little wider as well with this 2.5 quintessential Florida style home. In addition to that, but because of the location, now this could appeal to every single type of multi-generational that exists, but because of the particular location, Lakewood Ranch has not historically been known to give the square footage that maybe a household of 2 to 3 plus kids could orient to. That's not $1 trillion because it's Florida and it's a retirement kind of town. This one I think fills an interesting gap at the moment to do that. It has something for everyone, but it's a little bit more affordable with perspective to Lakewood Ranch on top of that. So you're going to go 1,500 square feet, almost 4,000 square feet. Townhomes start at just 300s, 400s for single family homes, clubhouse, resort style amenities, normal community. And then you could throw Waterbury Park into this as well. That's a Neal signature community. It's boutique. So this is going to be larger lots, bigger homes. It's a semi-custom brand. Kind of coming soon, but they've been out on the map for a while now, and that is just above the Waterside District, right there in that university corridor. But that's what I think is interesting to know about if you're looking for the newest part of something that you could also buy. Okay, let's move on and talk about coming soon. So there's 2 current communities that are on the map you're going to hear a lot more about in the future. One is called Stillwater, and that sits right above Waterbury Park, just above the Waterside District. Another one up in the northeastern quadrant is called Saddlestone. That's along with the cluster of other new neighborhoods there. But what is the most exciting, sexiest kid on the block at the moment is the Lakewood Ranch Florida Southeast expansion, the biggest they've ever done. This is going to add, amongst many things, 4,100 acres with 5,000 new homes on it. You're going to builders like Pulte, Neal, Taylor Morrison, Toll Brothers, and their friends to team up to do 7 additional villages, which is included in my 41 to 46 neighborhood number, but not a lot of map kind of presence to it at the moment. This is going to be a little bit of something for everyone, and it just adds a layer of location to Lakewood Ranch that puts you in an advantageous spot to town and to the southern things in central Sarasota that people want access to. Prior, it was all going northeast, so now you're going to have the northeast and the State Road 70 north to State Road 64 and beyond there in the Bourneside District, and now you're going to also have southeast, which is very attractive to a lot of people. It sits next to Waterside, basically. Multi-generational living, you're going to have every kind of home move up, luxury starter. This is going to add a lot of the road improvements to make room for this kind of thing, which I'm going to talk about a little bit more in a second. You're going to have additional trails, additional green space, stuff that Lakewood Ranch has been known for. 300K starting probably in the villa townhome range to 2 million plus luxury homes like you see in Waterside. They're estimating right now that the site work is going to begin around 2025, with the very first people moving in 2027. So we're not that far away here, and probably 18, 19 months away, which is interesting. And then we'll see what happens, right? So you had traffic concerns about Fruitville, and a lot of the stuff they're doing to the roads, which I'll explain, is creating a little bit of a bottleneck there right now. So with the race to try to orient this community for the amount of people that are eventually going to be here. And then, you had a lot of residents not loving the idea of the rural space going away on that kind of old Myakka area. But this one, from everything I know, seems to be moving forward. Okay, to finish off our kind of growth development section, let's hit some odds and ends, commercial developments, just other interesting happenings in general. One of those being a place called Center Point by Waterside. So Lakewood Ranch kind of started with downtown Lakewood Ranch District, Lakewood Ranch Boulevard, before you get to State Road 70 above University. That's a kind of prototypical what you would assume. It's nice, but it's pretty suburban feeling. Then they put Waterside Place, which is a proper downtown. This really, 15-foot wide sidewalks, huge lakes, a lot of different options. There's a brewery, there's a distillery. This is really broke open the idea that you don't have to go to town necessarily for everything. That was always the knock on the suburbs. That's why Lakewood Ranch's big kind of value juxtaposition before, historically in town when I was growing up, was like, of course, if you go all the way out there, you can get all this kind of stuff, but then you got to run into town for all your kids' sports. You got to run into town if you want a cool, nice restaurant, steakhouse, coffee shop, that kind of thing. We're very much getting to everything but the beach. Center Point is an interesting addition because it adds another layer. So now you have Waterside Place, downtown Lake Ranch, Center Point, and University Town Center, all within a really small square radius. 50-acre mixed-use, classic mixed-use space. Grocers, casual fine dining, fitness, medical center, and beyond. Ruth Chris Steakhouse, which is not Ruth Chris, get there in a minute. Owen's Fish Camp I wanted to mention first. A really popular and eclectic seafood restaurant in the Burns Court Historic District of downtown. Second location out there. Ruth Chris Steakhouse, which I just mentioned on accident. Bar Italia. So even if they're chains, they're on the nicer side of things. There's a car wash. There is a dog groomer, Chamberlain's restaurant, salon suites. So you got a little bit almost of everyone. Classic mixed use. Second on the list of other developments, infrastructure overhaul. This is where I hinted at the road expansion earlier. This is very, 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 very needed and timely. The developer is spending $200 million plus to widen University Parkway to 4 lanes. So you have a huge bottleneck that happens in this kind of area because as lovely as the grid system is in Sarasota, if you get up in that part of Lakewood Ranch, and I lived in the Isles right there in that cluster, you basically have Fruitville Road, this is the east to west corridors here. Fruitville Road, University Parkway, State Road 70, State Road 64, and then you have rundown roads to get to town, basically. Interstate, you have I-75, you have Lakewood Ranch Boulevard, you have Lorraine Road, you have Bourneside up here. Some of these did not cut all the way down, and some did. So some would come like here, some would come all the way down to Fruitville. So depending on how low you could get, and then you had to take a road like 301 or Fruitville, the east to west roads to get to town. So Lakewood Ranch is a lot of the value or the lack thereof exists in can you get out if you want to and go southwest to downtown Sarasota. This is going to make a big, big difference in the school traffic to like TCA and Outdoor Academy and all these, and just in general. The other thing they did is this project's also going to stretch Bourneside Boulevard, which is one of those examples of where Lorraine Road goes all the way to Fruitville. Bourneside did not. They're going to take that the other 4.8-ish miles down to Fruitville Road, which is going to really, really open up that northeast expansion and the southeast expansion. All those new neighborhoods, Delub, Catalina, all the stuff they're putting out there, Calusa, and all the stuff I just mentioned in the previous section. This is going to be very needed because if you don't have this, you got to go over, opposite camera here, you have to go over west and take another road that all the rest of the people that live over there are taking too, and you're just sitting at all times. In addition to that, this is going to add just general infrastructure, so 15 plus miles of trails for walking and biking and more, but we'll leave that there. Next is new schools. So they're always adding something. I'm going to talk about a little bit later in the video, the total school education option world. We have a brand new K-8 Lake Manatee that's opening in August 2025 with a middle school portion coming in 2026 and then a planned high school for 2027. This is going to be where the northeastern corridor schools are zoned for, other than Lakewood Ranch Boulevard, because of space and because of location. 2 new parks, more recreational space in general. So all in all, Lakewood Ranch is not slowing down anytime soon. I still think potentially it's the best mousetrap overall when it comes to master plan suburbs. I get the Village is ranked #1. That is an absolute peacock compared to this in both location and in style. Welland Park is one of the most advantageous and fastest growing right now down in the Venice area, but also not to this scale, so it might not work for you. Same with Nocatee up in the St. Augustine area, and Orlando is not coastal, so I like it for 2025, and let's move on. Hey everyone, I wanted to hop in and interrupt this Lakewood Ranch video for just a second to give you another chance to download the Lakewood Ranch Florida Relocation Guide for 2025. I mentioned it very briefly at the beginning, but it'll look like this. It's a flip book, a lot of great information about neighborhoods, things to do, places to eat. It's kind of a favorites list of sorts. I'm going to put a link right here to download directly. I'll leave that here for a second so you can take a picture if you'd like to. Also in the description box below, you can click directly. I think that'd be a fantastic thing to do on the back of watching this video or in the middle of watching this video. Without further ado, let's hop back in. Okay, in section number 3 for this video, I'm going to go ahead and combine real estate with cost of living just to kill 2 birds, 1 stone. I'm also going to move a little bit more swiftly throughout the rest of the video just for brevity's sake, so it doesn't get too intense. All right, Lakewood Ranch is a buffet when it comes to residential real estate. There is something in perspective for everyone. Entry-level side, you have townhomes and villas would be a great place to start. $300,000 to $500,000 base starting prices. There are a myriad of examples which you can do this. So this could be first-time home buyer. This could be empty nester that wants a little bit no frills, investor, depending on which one you buy. Think Savannah, think Palm Grove, think Windward, Nautique down in Waterside, and many, many other options you could do. These are also super, super residential. So most, if not all, are going to have a 1 to 2 car garage, and it just depends on the orientation you prefer. But this is the best way to achieve well under the median price of Lakewood Ranch. When it comes to median, the mid-range, the heavy majority of villages are going to sit within this range and exist between $500,000 and $900,000 base prices, which a lot of them falling in the low 7s to high 6s once it's all said and done. This is going to get you a bright, shiny, brand new home in the second ranked master plan community in the entire United States, and it's also going to get you the most options overall. You want a little bit beyond that on the luxury front. Think 1.2 million to 3.5 million plus, less than 10 probably total neighborhoods that are interesting, but really, really beautiful, wonderful, larger options. Think the Lake Club, including all layers of those 7, 8 different phases they did. Think Wild Blue at Waterside, Monarch Acres, Kingfisher Estates, Country Club West, Country Club East, even the Isles, and maybe Monterey get into this conversation eventually as well. And then you have kind of situational, the 55 and up. Del Webb Lakewood Ranch, which I mentioned, 55 and up, age-restricted brand, lovely, sold out. Crestwind by Coulter. Coulter, really known for building like condos under the Coulter Urban brand. Like they've done a lot of the Ritz-Carlton projects, the one in St. Pete, etc. They built a beautiful single-family home as well. And you've seen that in Artistry down in Sarasota. So they have one in there, in Del Webb Catalina, which is the one I mentioned as well. And then when it comes to cost, this is all perspective, right? But median cost in recent history is $642,000 in Lakewood Ranch. Now, the one thing I would say about median for this one is it's a great indicator, because median isn't as valuable if there's not that many examples, because you could say, yes, half are below, half are high above, but how many examples do I have? We have many, 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 many examples over 30 years that you could get under that price range as well. Now, this is going to be, of course, pricier than the average $400,000 in the rest of like the Western Bradenton, but could be a bargain compared to some of the South Florida properties or Northeast Florida, depending on where you end up. Property taxes, what you can, I know I'm moving fast here, my apologies, but property taxes, what you can expect here is about 1 to 1.1 percentage point. About 1 to 1.1 percentage points on top of your premium. So $6,400 to $7,000 annually, not CDD included on the median home that exists there. So some food for thought there. HOA fees, most are going to fall the $200 to $300 range. You can get to the $700, $800s if you have golf or you have something really specialty. A lot of these include lawn maintenance as well, but there's some fencing restrictions sometimes that go with that. And some include internet, some include cable, but mostly just the grounds and your amenities and things like that. Finally, CDD, which I'll circle back to, $1,000 to $2,000 a year on average on your tax bill. This is what does, if you're not familiar from out of state, this development thing covers roads, parks, and just basically the polished look that comes with Lakewood Ranch. So you take that, throw it on top of taxes. That's how that's going to really feel on top of that median cost. And that would be a very realistic point of view going into mid-2025. All right, let's talk schools, family life, a little bit more about amenities, and we will wrap up the video. So if schools and this general category are especially important to you, then Lakewood Ranch could very possibly be for you. You have 9 plus A-rated schools just within the district alone. This includes Lakewood Ranch High School, which I think has 5 years of A ratings in general, and I think it sits at a 7 out of 10 on greatschools.org. You have, and then BD Golit, Robert E. Willis up in that Northeast corridor, just a lot of options that people really, really enjoy. In addition to just regular public, you have charter. So Imagine schools in here. You have Lakewood Ranch Prep, which is really, really growing, that people find could be an alternative to some of the main public high schools, especially. You have private players like Outdoor Academy. There's a Pinnacle in here, Risen Savior. And there's just a lot of, in the Sarasota to Tampa area, there's a lot of prep schools in general, or like private schools rather. And I went to Cardinal Mooney. You have Sarasota Christian. You can commute to St. Stephen's, Pineview down in Osprey. It's the number one, it's a school for the gifted, but it's a public charter. It's the number one ranked elementary school, I think, in the United States right now. Beyond like just the K to 12 beyond just the K to 12 range, there are 14 plus preschools within the district. So I know that's always a big need. It's also a very hard thing to navigate on the internet. It's an absolute cluster. Watched my wife do that many, many times. It is very hard to find the right information. The ratings aren't the same as like main public schools. And a lot of folks do choose to, that live in the Sarasota or Palmer Ranch, South Sarasota area, to commute out to Lakewood Ranch just for this age range, especially. You also have higher ed, the State College of Florida, Kaiser University is nearby. So it's a lot of education options overall. Just general family perks. I've mentioned, I think in the past, that like 40% of all of the acres within Lakewood Ranch is set aside for like green space and conservation. It's just a lovely aesthetic, but also you have safe, walkable neighborhoods, whether they're gated or not. You have 13 parks and playgrounds, a really, really packed events calendar. There's egg hunts, there's First Fridays. You have the number one ranked farmers market in the state of Florida. It's just an interesting spot overall. So if this is something that you're particularly interested in, you can always reach out and we can get you the exact information you need that makes sense within a timing thing. And if you have school choice questions or any of that kind of thing as well. But that's what I'd like to say about schools. Okay, and lastly, amenities and lifestyle. So what is it actually like living in Lakewood Ranch day to day? A lot of the things on the internet versus the reality could vary. This is a place, as cliche as I don't want to say it, is a place that people live like they're on vacation every day. It feels like Pleasantville. You will, at like a Tuesday at 11 a.m., you'll be like, what are all these people doing? Do these people work? Like they're bike riding, they're smiling. It feels fake a lot of the times, and in the best way possible. And it's funny growing up here that a lot of this is like lost on you, but having been doing relocation specific for I think 4+ years now, and having repeatedly relocated people to similar areas over and over and over and over, very similar, and coming from similar places, New Jersey, New York, Illinois, Washington, D.C., Canada, and beyond, you would think that a little bit of that luster would wear off, and it doesn't. I mean, people that have been commuting in traffic for 30 years in the cluster of New Jersey, that live in the middle of Lakewood Ranch, and even if they have to drive 12 minutes, it's bridges and palm trees and sunshine, they still act like it's not real to this day. The way they carry themselves, the way they treat other people, like it ripples. And the majority of Lakewood Ranch isn't from the area. So everyone's like that. And it's like being a freshman in college again. Everybody came together. They most likely, even if they had a little bit of family, moved alone with them, their spouse, whatever's relevant, and then met each other, and they're all like-minded. It's like the closest to a guaranteed demographic you can get, because everybody wanted to solve similar problems, and they came from similar places to do it. It just works really, really well. So a couple things going for you. Golf and pickleball. It is a dream. So it depends what neighborhood you end up in, whether it's deeded, whether it's private pay-in, or whether it's public. But, Esplanade Azario is a really, really popular one. Esplanade, Taylor Morrison, still selling. There was another Esplanade before that was built a few years prior that has deeded golf as well. That's right up in that same district. You had Lakewood National, which was deeded. So one course, 2 courses. Lakewood Ranch Golf and Country Club, which has a west and an east side. That has a huge expansion, which I've talked about in the past, which we're not going to beat to death in this video, but I have 3+ private golf courses. Legacy, which is public now, but might be brought inside the gates. Expanded memberships. You can pay in from one of the adjacent neighborhoods. So like if you live in the Lake Club or Waterside, which doesn't have golf, there's options galore. You have pickleball arenas, pickleball courts in every neighborhood. This is not slowing down any time. Trails and parks, I mentioned a little bit of odds and ends about it, but you have 150+ miles when it's all said and done. It's hard not to stumble upon one. very pleasant overall. Lakewood Ranch is an area that no one really ends up in accidentally. So even if you live in like Summerfield or Greenbrook or a place that maybe doesn't have a gate, no one just walking through your neighborhood randomly. It's like a built-in neighborhood watch, basically. There's no reason to accidentally end up in any of these places for the wrong reasons. So it just comes with an air of safetyness overall. Shopping and dining, I've mentioned Main Street in downtown Lakewood Ranch, Waterside, UTC Mall is a huge area, both sides of the street. There's Nathan Benderson Park with the playground, and this is where they do the crew championships, and we can exercise there as well. Center Point, community events. I mentioned the weekly farmers market, #1 in the state of Florida. It's in downtown Waterside Place. There's polo matches, like the real full-on polo in Lower Lakewood Ranch. That's a lovely and different thing to do. Outdoor concerts all the time. So all in all, this place blends luxury, nature, and convenience in a way that I have not seen still to this day be able to be replicated. So with all of that being said, is Lakewood Ranch, Florida the right community for you? It's modern, it's convenient, it has amenities galore, it has home variety in a way that not many people could compete with now or probably later as well. It has a little something for everyone. Perspectively, the price hasn't gotten out of control in a place that doesn't make complete sense from these states people are moving. Only you can really decide that question, obviously, but I would love to assist in any way I can to give you more information. These videos are the tip of the spear. You can only get so dangerous in a video that then requires you to learn more information after you narrow, basically. Well, this is the funnel. So if anything about this video made you have additional questions, made you have additional concerns, or you just need more stuff, then the next step is to get that. And that can be through a phone conversation, that could be through text, that could be through an email. So we would love to assist in any way we can. I'll put all my contact information here. Thank you guys so much for visiting my YouTube channel. Please subscribe if you haven't already done so. We are going to get really, really deep across Southwest Florida in 2025. A lot of great stuff planned. That's the best way to see what's coming next. I mentioned that Lakewood Ranch, Florida guide at the beginning of the video and throughout. There is a link right here where you can download directly. You can also go to the description box below and click the link that's right at the top and in the middle. That's a flip book that you can live flip. And you can also download a PDF if you choose to print it or you just want to store it somewhere as well. If you do that, or if you don't do that, we have a 30-day email too. That's one of the best things you could do on the back of any of this kind of stuff is I send one email every 30 days. I handwrite kind of a manifesto. It's not only a recap of everything that I worked on throughout the month, but in bite-sized bullet point format. It's the freshest releases at new construction builders, quick move-in advantages you can get right now at homes that were already built, about to be finished at new construction builders, incentives they're offering on or off market. It's kind of the no early, no often, and it's once every 30 days. That's a great thing to do. There is a link in the description box below. I'll try to pop it up in the video as well. If you download anything, sign up for anything, as long as you don't opt out later, you will get that email. And again, it's the only thing I send monthly. And anything else I can do for you, please consider reaching out. We have a full-scale residential real estate team. We try to be the smartest way to do anything across the state, especially when it comes to new construction expertise, whether that's pre-construction condominiums or new construction single-family homes, neighborhood-based stuff, and the art form of relocation, logistics, debt-to-income ratio, balancing a sell and a buy, timing, all of that stuff. We've done many, 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 many times, and we try to use that experience to benefit the next person every single time. So again, my name is Adam Hancock, and I hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see you in the next one.